Today's topic is rotations. We do have a slight issue with this topic though, that being you don't have tracing paper at home, I don't have any tracing paper at home, so it's going to make this little topic a little bit awkward to actually do. Therefore, what we're going to do is we're probably just going to have to watch a few more videos. I found something where you might just want to have a play around yourself. As long as you're happy doing rotations by the end of today's hour, that's fine. If you're not, don't panic. You might just have to wait until we can get tracing paper. Whenever we get back into school, it'll be one of those topics that we probably will go over at some point anyway. So I did find this video here, which I will link in to the description in both Show My Homework and maybe below the video anyway. This person has better software than I have, and he kind of shows you how you would do proper rotations, including using the tracing paper later on. If I just click play for a few seconds.
In this video, I'm going to show you how to transform a shape using rotation. Before I do that, we need to understand a couple of keywords, clockwise and anti-clockwise. They're going to be very useful to us.
Okay, I will let you watch this video in your own time, but then later on, if I can find where it is on here, it's about here. Look, he does show you how you would have to fully do it, involving tracing paper, which is a lot
on to that centre of rotation,
nicer than I can do
down
at the moment.
So that I'm holding onto the tracing paper, but with enough freedom to be actually able to rotate the tracing paper underneath.
So, like I said, I'll link that video in. Please watch it so you know how you would actually have to do the tracing and the rotating on a piece of paper in real life. So it doesn't really help us for what we need to do right now, but there are other little things that I'd like you to try and do. Okay, so here's another little website that I found. We've seen this website before. We saw it before Christmas, where we had to try and draw a Christmas picture using the funny little buttons. Now I wouldn't touch anything over on this left hand side in case it messes it up, apart from the slider at the top, which is actually going to do the rotating in a second. Okay, and again, all I want you to do on this website is just play around. We've got 4 colourful dots over here, and we can move these to anywhere we like. So I'm just going to keep it like that at the moment, and then this slider will show you how it would how it rotates. So for example, if it was asking for 90 degrees clockwise, that's what your answer would look like. If it said 180 degrees, which we don't have to say clockwise or anti-clockwise for because it's going to get us the same place, that's what our answer would look like. Okay, so play around with that. What you can do is you can move where we do the rotating from. So when you've watched that first video, you'll understand that we can do rotating from lots of different places. If I put the rotation center here, for example, and start spinning it, the answer is going to be a lot different to what it used to look like. So there's 180 degrees. That answer looks completely different to where it was previously. Okay, let's just go back to the beginning. And then if you want to start getting a bit adventurous, you can move the points as well by just clicking and dragging. And you can see, let's put this back down to the origin. You can see how things move again. Okay, so maybe spend 5 or so minutes playing on this website, getting a good idea of how things will rotate, going clockwise, anti-clockwise, moving the center of rotation to see how that impacts our answers. Okay. When you've done that, what I'd like you to do is 2 little activities. The first activity is on My Maths. So this will be when you sign in again with your own login information. It'll probably pop straight up there. So don't forget, the first one is Egglescliffe triangle. The second one is whatever your 4 digits are and your 3 digits. If you have forgotten yours, it is on Microsoft Teams, so go over there and have a look. If I just find the one you're doing, it would be in shape and transformations. It's this one here called rotating shapes. If you really want to watch the lesson on it, you can do. Otherwise, just do the online homework. Okay, so there's one question there. It's a little bit weird. You have to try and work out how do you get from A to B. You need to write down where you're doing the rotating from and what the angle is, and it says use C or A to show clockwise or anti-clockwise, and then there's one afterwards where you actually have to show by clicking and dragging where the triangle will end up after you've done something. So clearly I've got that one wrong on purpose. Okay, let's get this one wrong. Let's go for 90 degrees anti-clockwise. And then when you've done it, click see your summary and then click finish and close, and then that's your My Maths stuff done. The other task is on MathsWatch. So if you log into MathsWatch, I've called Submit Transformations. Now there wasn't many rotation questions on here, so I've had to put in some reflections and translations from the previous lesson. Okay, so give these a try on the website. If the website doesn't seem to be working for you, you can click print questions. Okay, and what that'll do is it'll just make all the questions on as a PDF file, and then if you want you can just draw on here once you've downloaded it and draw your answers. So there's not many questions. Like I said, there's a few translations here. There's that vector thing that we talked about in the last lesson. There's a couple of reflections, and then there's these rotation ones. Okay, and then the last thing I need to say is something called rotational symmetry, and I couldn't find any really nice videos about this, but it isn't too tricky to understand at all. So I'm going to click on this website, which is MathsIsFun.com, and I want us to look at this S shape on the left hand side first. And all we're going to do is we're going to spin this entire shape 360 degrees, so we'll be able to keep track on where we start and finish by this kind of little line at the top. And all we're looking for is where does it kind of overlap perfectly during the full spin. So if I click on the play button here, you'll probably be able to see what I'm on about. So right here it overlaps, and then when we get back to the end, it's back to where it was. So we say that one has rotational symmetry of order 2. When we spun it around, it looked exactly the same. When we got back to the beginning, it looked exactly the same. If we look at the one on the right and I click play again, we can see it lines up perfectly once, twice, and then when the little line gets back to the top, it's back to where it was again. So we say this one has got rotational symmetry of order 3. Okay, and then it talks about other examples here that have different orders. So this picture over here next to the S1 has also got order 2 because it's the same thing upside down, and so on. Okay, things like a square would have rotational symmetry of order 4. If it was a regular pentagon, that would have rotational symmetry of order 5. If it was a hexagon, a perfect regular hexagon, that would have order 6, and so on. There was a couple of questions I did put on about this rotational symmetry at the end of the My Maths, so the MathsWatch. Okay, so what does a rectangle have? Well, if you spun that rectangle upside down, you'd be able to see it. So that would be 1, and then when you spin it back to the beginning, you'd see it again. So a rectangle would have 2. The triangle, I'll let you think about yourself. Okay, these two I think I've kind of covered. The slightly trickier one is question 14. It says this rectangle needs to have rotation symmetry of order 2. Okay, and what you need to do is colour in one more square somewhere so that when you flip it upside down, it will look exactly the same as it would if you hadn't flipped it upside down. Maybe it's easy, maybe it's difficult. We'll discuss that when we need to get onto it. So, quick reminder about what I'm asking you to do this lesson, because it is a bit more of an awkward lesson for you to do. First thing I want you to do is watch this video. So that will be linked on to show my homework and in the description below. When you've done that, if you want to have a play on this website, it's quite nice to try and get an idea of how things change when you move points. Okay, then you've got 2 activities to do. The first one is on My Maths. It's only one activity. It will be there waiting for you the moment you click rotate. When you sign in, it's called rotating shapes. Then you need to get onto MathsWatch, and it says at the top here there's 14 questions, 26 marks. so it'll probably take you about half an hour, I guess. Okay, and make sure you send all that. I'll be checking on Tuesday night to see who's actually done the work. Most of you are completing the work by the looks of it. There's a couple of people who don't seem to be, so I will be passing names on, but the majority of people are completing work of a good standard. Next lesson, which is Wednesday, the topic is enlargements. That will be something I can show you. So next lesson will be back to normal. It was just a whole tracing paper idea today that was just a bit awkward. I don't have any, you don't have any. It makes the rotations topic a little bit tricky to actually do. So just give it your best shot, okay? If it comes out and you've absolutely messed up all this rotation stuff, I'm not gonna complain too much at all. I know the circumstances aren't perfect, so just do what you can. If you have any issues at all, you know what to do. Just send me a message and I'll try and get back to you. Next lesson though, we will be back to normal. We'll be doing lots of lovely enlargement, making things bigger, making things smaller. So that'll be on Wednesday. Okay, I will see you all then.